Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today we're taking a look at Mars Toys' King of Enigma, aka Jim Carrey's Riddler, based off his appearance in Batman Forever. Now I got mine as a review sample from Mars Toys, organized by 1/6 Kit. I have popped a link to his site in the description below for your reference purposes only. As always, this is not a promotional video, this is a review. All opinions are 100% my own. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new third-party figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, it's no frills, no bullshit, straight to the point. And I respect that. I mean, we all know exactly who's in the box. There's a huge Riddler question mark up front, being projected into the sky just like we saw in the movie. And then down below, his third-party name, King of Enigma. On the side of the box, nothing really to report here, just the green cloudy sky spilling over the edge from the front cover. Around the back, warnings, legal information, as well as some figure photography. I know not everyone loves Batman Forever, and I get it, it's definitely campier than the two Burton movies. But out of the Schumacher films, I think we can all agree that Forever is the stronger of the two. First in-hand impressions for Mars Toys Riddler. So far so good. This is what Mars Toys does. Great proportions, solid feeling body, excellent tailoring, and a super expressive head sculpt. What we're going to do now is get all of Riddler's accessories laid out in the lightbox and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's simple, it's effective, it gets the job done perfectly. They've used the Hot Toys Age of Ultron style base mold. Up on top we have the Batman Forever logo with the Riddler question mark around it, adds a pop of colour to the top of the base. Around the front, Riddler on the real metal nameplate, and up top, an adjustable crotch grabber. We will go into way more detail on the head sculpts a little bit later once we install them on the body. For now, just know that we get one with and without the hat. Speaking of hats, no, this is not compatible with that head sculpt. Please don't try it, you are bound to damage something. This is made out of a quite rigid sculpted plastic. The top part looks almost flocked with this mottled texture. It isn't, it's just painted to look that way. Whereas the edge of the brim and the band around the middle, they've got this ribbed texture to them. You can feel it as you run your finger across the surface. The question mark at the front isn't just painted on there, it's 3D and raised, it sits proud of the surface. And Mars Toys should be proud of this accessory. I am so sorry. The box is absolutely insane. This thing is perfect. You can rotate this middle portion. This is done in translucent green plastic, so when light passes through it, it kind of looks lit up. The hoses are separate rubbery pieces, but the icing on the cake is in this top, almost blender-looking section. Those are real little crystals, so when you shake this thing, you can hear them rattling around on the inside. If I remember correctly, this was the pre-order bonus. It's the Halloween mask from where they break into Wayne Manor. Two-Face is also coming with this, so I hope you managed to get this guy on pre-order so that you could secure this mask for Riddler. There's this gross-looking, almost dirty texture on the surface, lighter shading on the nose, as well as some black accents for the cheeks and the eye sockets. For some of his smaller accessories, you do get the gadget he sticks onto his forehead and projects the shit out of his brain. The top part is done in translucent green with a little bubble in it. If that was intentional, I love it. If not, happy coincidence. The rest of it is painted in shiny metallic silver and green, with some black and gold down below. Do watch out for these bracket pieces, they feel a little bit fragile. This is another tie-in accessory with Two-Face. His pre-order bonus is the diamond that Riddler inspects with this in the movie. And there is a lens both front and back, you can see all the way through it. So we do get 5 of these little bat grenades, and they've got the cutest little toothy grin on the front with the white painted eyes and the black mouth. The question mark is painted in high gloss so it stands out against the matte finish, but do watch out for the wings and the ears, they're quite thin, they feel a bit fragile. You can install a few of them in the bag, or you can maybe pop all of them in there if you want this thing to be bursting at the seams. It's made of green spandex, just like his outfit, with some screen printed question marks on the surface. You can then tighten up the top of the bag, and there's a real metal little stopper that you can use to cinch it in place. Was it necessary to go real metal for this piece? Absolutely not. But I'm glad they did. The cane is painted in metallic gold, and it's thicker than the Zensation one so that it doesn't warp and bend over time. That one right now in my collection looks terrible. But it's got a party piece. You can open up the top part to reveal the sculpted ribbed detail and the red dots on the inside. So if you want to make it look like he's activating the cages or a trap or the lights or something, you can flick it open and get that done. When you close it up, the tolerances are so tight that if you weren't looking for it, you'd probably just think that those were some added little detail bits sculpted into the surface. This cane is dope. And lastly, 12 hands in total. That has to be a record for most number of hands included with a 1/6 scale figure. The gestures range from trigger finger hands to hat brim holding hands, maybe with the thumb over the forefinger that's extended like a trigger finger hand, a semi-relaxed gripping hand for the left side versus a normal gripping hand for the right, two splayed out finger open palm hands, another normal gripping hand this time for the left and that other gesture for the right, and all of them have this matte finish to them, vein work, plenty of skin texture, and the red shading over the knuckles. Lastly, two open palm hands already installed on him out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Riddler himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. They definitely captured the tall, lanky proportions for Jim Carrey's Riddler. Sometimes getting the essence of a character right simply by nailing the body choice isn't actually all that simple at all. They focus on the little details that get them that 5 to 10% or more closer to the reference than other companies attempting the same characters at this scale. They're very quickly becoming one of my new favorite third-party companies. But that's just it. Often, we use third party as a way of describing shit quality figures. Don't forget, the only thing separating a licensed company from an unlicensed one is a signed contract and a handshake. As long as the quality is there, mind you. Mars Toys, in my opinion, have well and truly broken through that imaginary third-party quality level glass ceiling that we've built over the years. They deliver on quality, accessories, and attention to detail. This Riddler is no exception. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Riddler's first head sculpt. We will be trying out the other head in a minute, just in case this one isn't your cup of tea. It certainly is mine though. It's full of life and personality, and it's a ton of fun to work with for posing. Having the eyes off to one side and this glossy tongue sticking out is polarizing, but if you work with angles tilting his head sculpt forward so he looks more creepy, or up so he looks like he's deep in thought, I reckon you're probably going to be able to find some way of working this into a pose. If not, just switch it out for the other head sculpt. Now the hat is permanently attached here so you can't remove it, same thing with the mask. And I'm okay with that, because if this was a removable mask, it would be quite cumbersome to work with, and I don't think it would look as good as this does. He has the black eye makeup around his eyes, which are quite glossy. The tongue is glossy too, and it's a single piece sculpt, so there's skin texture and detail all the way down into his outfit. Let's talk about likeness for just a second, because while I see it from certain angles with this sculpt, it's not as strong as it was with the hatted sculpt. This one, to me, looks more like Jim Carrey. The issue, I reckon, is that the hair is tall, the forehead is long, And his mouth is wide open, so his jaw hangs down, so everything is elongated, and that's throwing off the likeness. It's not to say that this is a bad sculpt, because the detail is still absolutely fantastic. The hair with the sculpted texture and flow to it, and how it sticks up the front, with the well-painted hairline, and the pale complexion for the skin tone, combined with the glossy teeth and tongue inside the mouth and tonsils tucked in the back there. Like I said, detail-wise, this sculpt is great. But if likeness is the one thing that you care most about, I'm pretty sure that's the case for all of us, you might want to consider going with the tongue head sculpt. The tailoring for Riddler's outfit seems pretty simple on paper, right? It's just a green spandex jumpsuit underneath a green suit jacket. But it's so much more complicated than that. Getting the jacket to have the right cut so it hugs the waist and sits flat and doesn't flare out at the bottom, and still allows his arms to go completely flush down by his sides while being padded in certain areas like the shoulders. All of that is not easy, it's non-trivial, and Mars Toys, they nailed it. All the way round, this jacket looks awesome. There's no unsightly bunching or wrinkling anywhere. It does close up around the front with press studs, and the pockets are not functional. I understand why they did that. They didn't want them to bulge out. They wanted this to be as flat and smooth as possible. The collar does stick up. It's not wide. You don't have to do anything with it. This is how it looks right out of the box. With the jacket now removed, the spandex outfit, it reveals everything. So if the body didn't look as good as this does underneath it, the figure would have been an instant fail. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that this is probably a bespoke body designed by Mars Toys specifically for the Riddler. Because the proportions are great. His arms hang down by his sides naturally, they sit very flush. He's got defined traps, then the rounded shoulders, even some muscle definition poking through. And you can see anatomy in certain places. This, for me, is exactly what I was hoping for out of a 1/6 scale Jim Carrey Riddler. A bright green, skin-tight bodysuit with some screen-printed question marks on the surface. Oh, and the same thing can be said for the jacket. The question marks are screen-printed, even on the inside of the front panels. There is a zipper around the back that you can open to maybe futz with the outfit, and there's a padded layer underneath it. But that does not get in the way of articulation. You'll see what I mean when we get to the articulation segment. His neck does look a little bit high at the moment, but you can adjust it. It's a hollow neck, and the neck connector can slide all the way inside. So that means you can push it down if you want, or if the pose requires it, you can extend the neck up a little. I am nervous about the fabric going around the end of his thumbs over his hands, because that's a lot of pressure on the spandex, and right now it looks fine, but maybe if you switch out the hands one too many times, that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. This splits and frays and looks terrible. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. The legs are just covered in the same green spandex material as the upper torso because it is just a one-piece bodysuit after all. I like that wherever possible, they have lined up the dots for the question marks so that they look like a complete thing. It's not everywhere, they didn't succeed with every single one of them, but even when there's a seam running through them like this one right here, they lined it up well enough for me. Now there is that padded white layer underneath the spandex, and now that I'm looking at the legs around the back, it was totally necessary to add that because the green spandex is far too thin for it to have been able to obscure the cuts and seams and breaks in the body for articulation. The padded white layer beefs it out just enough so that front on, from a distance, you can't see any of those cuts at all. Except for down here at the ankles. You can futz with this and get it to look better, but if the fabric sinks into that joint, then they're a lot more visible. They have done something pretty interesting with the ankles, actually. Instead of going with the double ball peg at the base of the leg, they wanted to extend the calves to make his legs longer and to make the proportions more accurate to Jim Carrey. So they did that, but at the cost of articulation. Because now the joint is up here, and that just doesn't look right. So I'm going to try and keep ankle articulation to a minimum. If you tilt it inwards a bit, that's okay. But if you get real crazy with it, then yeah, that doesn't work for me at all. Maybe some other kind of ankle extension could have been used here so that this wasn't necessary. At least they have added the bulge on the inside and outside of the faux foot, so that does look like a real human foot inside the shoes. Speaking of the shoes, no complaints from me when it comes to detail. We've got the leather grain texture and the stitching and the buckle painted in, the detail work around the edge of the sole, and even some texture on the underside, plus a little logo that has half of a Union Jack on it, and it says shoes in there. It's really, really small, but if you look at it close up or with a macro lens, you should be able to see that. I do want to try out one more thing before we move on. You know what? This isn't half bad. I was expecting to only ever use the jumpsuit look with the other head sculpt because the dark green for the hat and the mask picks up on the dark green for the jacket a little bit better. Yeah, nah, I'm totally considering this. This is giving me serious new Batman Adventures vibes. It might not be for everyone. If you were wondering what it looks like, here it is. For a quick side-by-side comparison, you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Mars Toys on the left, Zensation on the right, who's been my stand-in for Edward Enigma for the longest time. He's too short, he's not proportionate, and his outfit is too baggy. Versus Mars Toys, they fixed all of that. So, yeah, in my collection, I am going to be replacing the Zensation one with the Mars Toys release. Oh man, this really isn't a very good figure, is it? It's the Toys Trubo Two-Face. He's only marginally better than the Zensation one that I used to own. For now, he'll do. Just like the Zensation Riddler, once the Mars Toys release is ready, I'm going to be replacing this Two-Face immediately. Believe it or not, this is not accurate. Hot Toys overscaled their sonar suit Batman. IRL, Val Kilmer is 6 foot versus Jim Carrey's 6'2", so Riddler should be taller than Batsy. Once again, not blaming Mars Toys, it was Hot Toys that overscaled their release. Oh yeah, way better. Chris O'Donnell's 5'9", Hot Toys got a lot closer with their scaling on Robin. Shorter than Mars Toys Riddler, exactly as it should be. Going over articulation, starting off with his head sculpt. It's on a fixed neck and there's a ball joint at the bottom. Looking forward to there, looking up to there, swivel, and pivot side to side. If you remove the jacket, you will get more range out of the upper torso. I just wanted to show you him at his most restricted. His arms will go up to there, going forward and back on soft ratchets. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. We have a swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. His torso crunches forward and back, swivel, and pivot side to side. His legs will go forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Ratcheted double bend at the knee, going past 90. And then for the ankles, this interesting design with the ball joint up here rather than down there affords us forward and back range, swivel, as well as ankle tilt. Wrapping up on Mars Toys, King of Enigma. This is another home run for Mars Toys. It may not be as perfect as their Cesar Romero Joker, but it's darn close. 2 head sculpts, insanely detailed accessories like the box with the little crystals inside and the cane that can open, set this guy over the top for me. The bespoke body is a hit, with the only minor nitpick being the ankle joint design. I know why they did it, but still, it could have spent a little bit more time in the oven. Other than that, they nailed it. Jim Carrey's Riddler with a full fabric outfit so we can pose the shit out of him, getting those goofy ass poses in 1/6 scale. I honestly don't think it gets much better than this. In the future, if Hot Toys eventually give us a Riddler, will it trump this one? Maybe. But I wasn't about to sit around waiting for them to realize that people actually want these characters. They're so focused on other licenses that they've left a DC void for Mars Toys to step in and fill with side characters and main villains from iconic movies. And yes, I said it, Batman Forever is iconic in its own way. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it's up to you. If you want to keep waiting forever, Batman Forever, the Riddler, go for it. Or you could get the best one that's ever been made in this scale with this release. Now, I got mine as a review sample provided by Mars Toys, organized by 1/6 Kit. I have popped a link to his site in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video, this is a review. All opinions, as always, have been 100% my own. I have not been asked to only say good things. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.